When Jimmy Kimmel challenged Donald Trump to prove his IQ, the room first treated it like another late-night joke.
The President of the United States revived his long-running list of lies about the 2020 election. Fraud, foreign interference, and of course the deep state. And now the people who run our nation's elections, some of the most civic-minded people in this country, are bracing for the midterms. And when I say bracing, I mean it. As MS Now's Hunter Woodall reports, quote, few offices in the Trump era have proved as consequential or as politically exposed as that of a state's chief election official. And it was by chance that most of the nation's secretaries of state were in South Dakota for a long-planned conference on the same day that Trump spoke, trading notes on their work, then scrambling to navigate the latest turn from the man who has fundamentally remade it. Woodall adds, once the rhetoric comes down from on high, they are the ones left trying to convince voters that their ballots still count, a case each of them is eager to make in their own state about their own system. In other words, as the president undermines the faith in our elections, it's up to state and local officials to clean up his mess.
The president wrote today, quote, the reflecting pool, so badly damaged by deranged vandals, has been emptied as the massive slash gets repaired. We got it through the great July 4th weekend. What kind of animals would do such a thing? We are looking for a vandal-proof material, but such a thing should not have been necessary. Vandal-proof. Trump, he'd go searching that far and wide for a special, indestructible, probably gold, vandal-proof material. A Washington Post analysis found that the problem much more likely originated during the installation process, which was led by, you guessed it, a company owned by a longtime Trump donor. The administration says Trump wasn't involved in picking the contractor who it says needed a no-bid contract to get the work done by July 4th. And look, there's an old adage, never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity. I would suggest that they're not necessarily mutually exclusive, but that's neither here nor there. Still with me to discuss all of this are Abby Livingston and Basil Smikle. So Abby, have you learned from your sources what this new vandal-proof material will be?
I haven't heard a word.
Okay.
But on this topic, the thing that's most stunning to me is not his post or anything like that, but it's these images of the FBI investigating this. And these are the world's greatest investigators. And the thing is it's a sideshow for now, but it's like we're approaching the 25th anniversary of 9/11 and the FBI is in charge of counterterrorism. And there have been no incidences of, huge scale since Trump has taken over. But if anything happens on a terrorism front or anything like that, this is what the FBI has been doing, focusing on instead of these things. And so I think it gets into a dicey political issue down the road if things don't go well.
I mean, not just down the road. There are a lot of things that the FBI has pulled back from investigating. They're basically no longer investigating. DOJ is no longer prosecuting white-collar crimes.
Right.
I mean, white-collar criminal prosecutions actually hit an all-time low last year. They've been falling for a long time, but they're no longer looking at that. They're, you mentioned terrorism.
We're on the 25th anniversary of Enron too. So,
that's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. I mean, if anything, it may be a feature, not a bug, that we're not going after the white-collar criminals, given that Trump is pardoning a lot of the ones who were convicted.
To convince their constituents that it is, in fact, safe to vote. And to counter the president's effort to erode trust in our election system, the timing could not be more consequential. Voters are going to head to the polls in just a few days to cast their ballots in several primaries in Arizona and in South Dakota. And the midterms are 109 days away. And yet, here's the president in a primetime address sowing yet more doubt about and in our elections with little to no proof. On Thursday night, there were plenty of references to foreign interference. You heard the claim that China acquired millions of U.S. voter files, which Trump's own documents do not support. And another familiar claim about the Venezuelan government. Trump alleged Maduro digitally altered vote totals in 2020. The same old, you can't trust the voting machines line that we have been hearing for the past 6 years. But the declassified documents released by the White House tell another story. They refute this. The intelligence community found that America's, quote, vote tabulation systems would be difficult to manipulate on a wide enough scale to compromise election results. Did you hear that? If that weren't enough, a member of Trump's own election task force, this guy John Solomon, spoke to MS Now's Vaughn Hilliard and admitted that there's no proof that China or Venezuela or anyone changed the vote for Joe Biden in 2020.
So the 2020 election was, in fact, the results as the American public.
I'm still researching, so let me. This is the first.
But there's no intelligence.
Not yet.
There is no intelligence that the election would have said that Donald Trump was president.
Said that's enough.
We gotta go. No wonder they wanted to run away. After a 25-minute speech, after more than 270 pages of declassified documents, what changed? Not much. But with voting already underway in key states, the consequences are extraordinarily real. In Arizona, where voters head to the polls this week, the legacy of Trump's false claims about the 2020 election still hang over Maricopa County. That is the country's second largest voting jurisdiction and one that has spent years defending the integrity of its elections. And again, now, local election officials, not the White House, are left trying to restore confidence in a system that President Trump continues to question. Stephen Richer, the former Maricopa County recorder, and Adrian Fontes, Arizona's Secretary of State. We're talking about President Trump's speech on Thursday and threats to America's election system. Secretary Fontes, on Friday, I'm sure you saw this, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne Mullen, had something to say to state election officials like yourself. Let's listen to that.
If the election officials, once we gave them the information they need to secure their elections, and they chose not to, then those individuals can also be held accountable by fines, by penalties, and even, depending on how far it goes, prison time.
What the hell is he talking about? The information they need to secure their elections. Do you have any idea, seriously, what does he mean?
Well, a local publication quoted me as saying he can go suck on a salt lick. The guy has no idea what he's talking about. Professional election administrators like myself are really, I'm sick and tired of being insulted by these folks who are completely ignorant as to how these systems work. And one of the things that Stephen said earlier was really important. You'll learn as you go. And as you get involved in local election administration and you watch what's happening, you can really appreciate the checks and balances, the detailed systems, the really important quality assurance that we go through every single election. My office not only certifies every election official that handles ballots in the entire state, but we do logic and accuracy testing of every single tabulator that is going to be handling ballots every single election. And as Stephen also mentioned, we do audits on the backside as well. So I don't know what these folks are talking about. It's the perpetuation of the campaign of grievance that Donald Trump has continued on. And maybe he's setting something up to try to make some excuses for what might be happening in the fall. But we believe as election administrators, and I truly mean this, and I think Stephen will agree, outcomes be damned. We're here to serve our voters, not politicians. We're here to make sure that democracy moves forward as that global example of how the consent of the governed matters, even more now than you could say, that we're facing this internal threat than we did back 250 years ago with that external threat.
Just want to make sure I got it right. What did you tell him to do?
To suck on a salt lick. I grew up on a ranch, Jacob. You can Google it.
It's okay. I'm going to just write that down. Suck on a salt lick. Got it. Steve, what was your reaction to the threat?
Well, it's a heck of a way to recruit temporary election workers, which is always something that election workers throughout the country are concerned about. But here you have somebody, the top official for the Department of Homeland Security, saying that he's going to look for an excuse to arrest you and to throw you into prison. So I don't think that's the type of messaging we need in the buildup to this election. And furthermore, I think that there's no reason to think that any election official in the United States is doing something like that. In fact, the only prominent election official that's ever faced charges is Tina Peters from Mesa County, Colorado. Yes. And she was doing it in support of Donald Trump's continued theories that the 2020 election was stolen. As Adrian said, I think this is all just rooted in a unwillingness to accept one result. Adrian and I have both lost elections. He lost in a major landslide to me. So, by 5,000 votes out of 2 million. But we accepted it. We moved on because that's how democracy works. And Adrian showed an immense amount of maturity. I hope I showed that maturity as well. President Trump is very okay with accepting his 2024 victory, still cannot accept his 2020 defeat.
Why is he so obsessed with Arizona, Secretary Fontes? Arizona's been at the center of election conspiracy theories for years. And also, again, in all seriousness, how has that had to, I remember in terms of watching my colleagues be there after the presidential elections when Donald Trump was questioning legitimacy, security changes, other operational changes. Walk me through what it means to be at the center of conspiracy theories like that for an election administrator in a state like yours.
I don't know why he's so obsessed with Arizona. Arizona is, in my humble opinion, the absolute best state in the union. Our flag is awesome. We've got great food. The people are amazing. But as far as the technology and the things that we've adjusted and changed, it's really not that much. We've done a lot of fine tuning on some of our systems. We certainly have had to increase security because the doubts that he's cast on our systems have really increased a lot of the threats that our election workers and our staff have faced. Myself, my family. I know Stephen has also had to have increased security. So all of that is unfortunate, but we keep up with the times. In fact, we keep ahead of the times. And if we'd had a state legislature that bothered to fund elections fully, or as I've testified several times on Capitol Hill, a federal government that was a partner and not an adversary in administering our elections, we'd be a heck of a lot better off and in a much better place. And the bottom line is this: elections express the will of the people. And I think Donald Trump and his ilk are really afraid of the people. And that expresses our real power. So my message to voters is they're afraid of you. They're afraid of you. Get out there and vote because you're the ones with the power, not the trust fund babies, not the whiners and the folks that are just griping. You're the ones with the power. Use it.
J.D. Vance revealed that he believes that what are reported as alien sightings are actually demons living among us, and no one even noticed because his boss baby has been filling his diaper in the bigliest way probably ever. He fired his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, for not doing enough illegal stuff for him. And this is how well liked she is. Hours of a crazy day here in the United States of America. Probably the most dangerous episode of The Celebrity of President yet today. It was D-Day. In this case, the D stands for dementia, but it was D-Day today. We're coming to you from Los Angeles for the local times just after 5 p.m., which was Trump's deadline for Iran to, quote, open the effing strait or you'll be living in hell. He gave a hard cutoff time, but I just want you to imagine, let me set the scene, okay? You're finishing your Easter brunch, cleaning up, the kids are running out to the yard to find jelly beans, and suddenly your 79-year-old grandpa stands up and he yells, open the strait, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. You'd put him in the car and drive him straight to the emergency room, right? I mean, the whole family would be crying. All the days we woke up to this. Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the strait, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah, President Donald J. Trump. I believe that's a letter from Paul to the Corinthians. You know, we've heard the word unhinged a lot this weekend, probably more than any weekend. This is how it goes every single time. Trump says something insane. He says, I'm going to kill everybody tomorrow at 5 p.m. We all freak out. And then he's like, you know what, actually, I'll kill everyone in 2 weeks. And then we relax, and then he forgets he ever said it in the first place. He has the memory and the skin color of a goldfish. And maybe the worst part, I mean, we know he's bananas, but maybe the worst part of all of this is how relaxed the congressional Republicans are. Ridiculous. Today, the president and the first lady presided over the annual White House Easter egg roll. This is a tradition that dates back to 1878. And what you're about to see, even though we did not have video back when Rutherford B. Hayes was running the show, I have to believe that this would rank among, if not at the top, of the most preposterous moments in White House Easter egg roll history.
They were giving me a briefing about that, and they said normally when you're in very hostile territory, and I don't think it gets much.
He threatens to annihilate a civilization. They're like, well, you know how he is. He's a big talker. He yaps. And it's always 2 weeks. He's like a conscientious employee. He always gives 2 weeks notice.
I'll be making a big decision on the Paris Accord over the next 2 weeks. We're signing a health care plan within 2 weeks. We call it the gold card, and we're going to start selling hopefully in about 2 weeks. So we can just sit down, and I'll do this at some...
A comedian poking at a politician's favorite boast. But within seconds, the dare became bigger than the number. It became a test of confidence, insecurity, and the strange habit Trump has of turning his own intelligence into a campaign slogan. Kimmel did not need a secret file or some dramatic document. He only needed one question. If Trump is so certain he is brilliant, why does proving seem to bother him so much? Trump has spent years selling the idea that his mind is different from everyone else's. He talks about genius, like it is a trophy on the wall. He repeats stories about doctors being amazed, people being impressed, and critics being too unintelligent to understand him. That language works at rallies because it sounds strong, but Kimmel understood the weakness inside it. And a truly confident person does not need to keep announcing the same claim. The repetition itself starts to feel like evidence of doubt. Stay with this because this is where the dare started turning into a trap. Kimmel framed it almost politely. If the claim matters so much, take the test. If the genius label is real, let the results speak. If the critics are wrong, prove them wrong in the simplest way possible. The audience laughed because the challenge sounded obvious, but also sounded dangerous, because Trump's entire public image depends on never letting anyone else set the standard. He prefers to grade himself. Kimmel was asking him to hand the pencil to somebody else. That is why the reaction mattered more than the dare. Trump did not need to panic in a dramatic way for viewers to understand the pressure. Panic can look like deflection. It can look like attacking the host. It can look like mocking ratings, calling the show terrible, or pretending the question is beneath him while still answering it loudly enough for everyone to notice. Kimmel's point was simple. If the joke is meaningless, why give it oxygen? But that was only the beginning. Kimmel took the IQ challenge and turned it into a question about leadership. He reminded viewers that the country does not run on imaginary test scores. Grocery prices do not fall because a man calls himself a genius. Foreign crises do not settle because he brags about his brain. Families do not feel safer because a politician wins a pretend intelligence contest against a comedian. Real intelligence shows up in judgment, patience, focus, and the ability to listen when the answer is not flattering. For older Americans watching, that point hit hard. They have known plenty of loud men who confuse confidence with wisdom. They have seen salesmen, bosses, and politicians use certainty like armor. They know that real intelligence is quieter. It asks questions. It learns. It admits limits. It does not need applause after every sentence. Kimmel trusted that life experience and used it to make the joke sharper. The more Trump pushed back, the more Kimmel's dare seemed to work. If Trump accepted, the stunt became real. If he refused, the boast looked fragile. If he attacked Kimmel, the reaction confirmed that the comedian had touched a nerve. That is the perfect late-night trap. Every exit leads back to the same question. Why is a man who claims to be untouchable so easy to provoke? And that is where the audience roars. They were not only laughing at Trump, they were laughing at the pattern. Trump says he does not care, then proves he cares. He calls people irrelevant, then spends time responding to them. He says he is too smart to be challenged, then reacts like the challenge landed exactly where it hurt. Kimmel did not need to declare victory. Trump's reaction did the work. By the end, the IQ dare had become less about intelligence and more about temperament. Subscribe to 5 Million Hub. The patterns repeat. We slow them down.